What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back, guys. It's super early in the morning for me. I'm just about to get ready for work, but I had to give you guys my thoughts on the Batman Armory set that's now been released by Hot Toys, because I definitely have some thoughts, especially with regards to the sculpt and the Batman suit itself, and even some of the glass work, the dew work, some of those things. I've got some takes, but also some positives here as well. So stick around if you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Ben Thomas.
Go time! Here we go, here we go, here we go!
Okay guys, so normally I start all my videos with the things that I like most about the figure, because let's be honest, this is still a pretty exciting announcement. This is a great set, and while I'm going to be a little critical of this one today, I don't want anybody who's excited about getting this in their display to feel like their excitement is diminished because of my perspective. We all look at art differently, and especially when it comes to likeness, we can feel very differently about it. A recent example of that was I really liked the John Wick sculpt for John Wick 4. I thought it looked pretty good. A lot of you out there really didn't see it in there, and that's okay. That's the way she goes. So, what I want to start with here is what I actually like about this set first. First things first, I really like the way that all of the bits, the accessories kind of clip into the cases that go in the display. I also really like the fact that this is going to be that USB setup, so you're not dealing with those button cell batteries anymore. I like that it comes with a remote control. You can turn it on. I think that the bat suit itself looks pretty good for the most part. I got a couple nitpicks there, but something that they've improved on is that wrist seam. It actually goes under the gauntlet now like it's supposed to, so that's fantastic. I've seen some criticism that the bat cowl isn't very good. I'm a pretty big Dark Knight fan. For me, I don't really see it here. At least in the display, I think this looks perfectly serviceable. Really good, in fact. So I'm okay with that there. But that's about where it kind of stops for me. I'll admittedly state that I prefer the Dark Knight Armory setup instead, and there's a 2.0 version of that set coming pretty soon as well. So for me, that's the one I'm actually holding out for. But I loved the Dark Knight Rises film itself, and I always thought this was a really cool display for all of, the bat gadgetry, right? And I think in a display, if you do it right, you could have all three and it could look amazing, kind of creating almost a Batcave-esque display for yourself. The nitpicks though here. While I think the dew texture on the glass looks cool under certain lighting and under certain pictures, I'm a little bit worried it's going to look hellishly dirty most of the time, because I'm not sure that the average person who looks at it will be able to identify that that's the look they were going for. So a little worried the dew texture is going to look ugly and dirty. Could be wrong on that one. We'll see when it gets in hand. The figure itself, so the Bale figure, they have done something to this head sculpt. Now, admittedly, I didn't think that the prototype was all that strong either. He looked kind of gaunt and skinny and dehydrated, and people were saying he looked like a vampire and he'd make a good Morbius and all these things. But then this final version, I don't think is very much better. I actually think that there's better hair stranding in the new sculpt. I think that that looks good, but it, to me, really doesn't capture the Bale likeness. There's a couple angles here where I'm like, yeah, you know who it's supposed to be. And when we're critical of art in this way, sometimes I feel like I'm banging my head against the desk because maybe I'm being too critical, right? Like when I look at Hot Toys of 10 years ago, this is still a vast improvement over what we've seen. But with how good technology is, like if I think about that Artisan Oscar Isaac head sculpt that we saw last week, that prototype, that shit is insane. It looks exactly like him in my opinion. This, for some reason, Christian Bale is just one of those actors that I find that Hot Toys really struggles to dial the likeness in. And as a result, I actually think that this is one of the weakest head sculpts that we've now seen for Bale, which is wild considering this feels like it's version 65 of Batman that we've had a chance to see in our displays. So that's a little disappointing. Now, I still think that the body itself is really cool. I like the fact that if you're getting this in your display, this will be the one figure in your display that is a bit more like a statue and less like a figure, but that's less of a complaint because we knew that going in. This will be the one figure that can effectively cross his arms and look badass doing it, and not have to worry about broken seams or broken joints or any of those things down the line. So I think that's cool. But you are very restricted to this very pose that's on the screen, for better or for worse. Now, think of it this way. Bruce Wayne is a billionaire, right? One of the richest people in Gotham City. If this is the type of clothing this man wears, he needs a fashion consultant because the prototype of this outfit looked, in my opinion, still significantly better. Now, could it have been a photo that the contrast was turned up a little high? Maybe. Because even in this display image where you see them on both sides here, I still see some of that similar ugly seam work. But man, the thickness around the collar and at the waistline is just baggy and shitty looking. I hate to say it, it doesn't look good. And again, for a billionaire character, you think he'd be able to afford slightly nicer t-shirts. But in 6 scale, I also think that the seam work is just rough here for Hot Toys. Like, it's way too large. It doesn't look like a scaled down t-shirt and shorts, which is a very basic outfit when you think about it. So I think that that's also, unfortunately, a bit of a miss. So the head sculpt's a miss for me. The outfit's definitely a miss for me. The dew on the glass could be a miss, depending on what it looks like in the display. It already looks dirty in these display photos, even though I know what it's going for. So I don't love that. Now, another benefit, though, that I'm seeing here is the cape. I actually think that the cape, when it's installed in the figure, lays flatter over the shoulders, and that's one of my biggest complaints with some of the older Dark Knight figures, was that when you plugged the cape in, it was actually a little too high on the shoulders and looked weird. So that's why those custom cape vendors are so popular, because they give us capes that lay flat and drape well. I think this looks like it's actually going to be a pretty solid cape. So credit there where credit is due. Now, if I'm looking and being a little bit more critical of the bat suit, I have to say I feel like they went a little too ham with that greenish color on the front of the chest. While I think that they're trying to replicate like a lighting effect to give it some depth and texture, I think that looks good. When it's out of the display figure standing by itself, it almost looks like he's got a bit of army green in his chest. It doesn't look right. I can't find a great replication picture that shows that so specifically. And so I think that the color is a little off on the batsuit, which is also slightly unfortunate. So this for me was kind of like a triple oof today. You know, like when you look at something and you're excited to see how it's going to turn out, and then you're kind of like, oof, okay, well maybe, you know, click on a couple pictures more. Oof. I think the other thing is here. We talked about this on Let's Get Nuts yesterday. Right now, we have to prioritize our funds. There's so many cool figures and displays coming to our collections that we don't even have yet. I myself have 13 pre-orders, which for me is a lot. Some of you guys have way more than that. When I see sets like this that just don't necessarily hit the mark or quality level that I would expect, for me, this is an immediate no thank you. Now, I didn't invest on a pre-order on this one. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I've got the Dark Knight display, the 2.0 version of that Armory coming, and I'm really excited about that one because that's more of my jam. I like that set more, but I'm a little disappointed that this didn't turn out a little bit better for the people who are really excited about this. Now, is it still going to be a unique display piece? 100%. In hand, will the sculpt look better? Maybe. I've seen some other videos, the Sideshow First Look and stuff, and I didn't hate it as much. You know, when I think back about my Days of Future Past Wolverine, for example, the blogger photos of that really didn't do that sculpt justice at all. And then when I got it in hand, I'm like, it looks like Wolverine to me. I don't know what the criticism was there. So maybe I'm a little too critical today, and we'll find out. I can't wait to hear from you guys, the folks out there in the community who are getting this in their display. What are your thoughts on these final release photos? Are you excited still? Is any of your excitement diminished? Are you echoing some of the concerns that I have, but still excited anyways? Or are you like, nope, this is a cancel for me, and you're just bailing on it entirely? I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. But of course, guys, that's it. I'm going to keep it short today because I got to get my butt to work. If you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. channel if you haven't already. Cause subscribing makes you feel good.
Where should I go? What should I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's gone. It's all gone.